Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I've got Stacey with me at the anvil, and we're going to be talking about if you were born in 1900, what you would have to live through. Now, this was sent to me by the great Toby McGugan, a good friend of mine, and he knows what us like-minded people like to hear, and he resonates with me. And this was written originally by Bob Blanchett, and as we go through it, Stacey's going to kind of bring it back to how it is in the USA and just some extra facts, and we'll kind of talk around it. Did you know Toby was the first one to tell me everything, the world is ours and everything in it?
I didn't until you told me today. I did not. And when we first met, that's what he told me, and it always stuck with me.
And it's up to you to take action and reach out and grab it. And if you've got any questions about the intermittent fasting that a lot of people have been doing in the comments, maybe I'll touch on some of that at the end, but feel free to ask them. If you don't mind liking the video, if you like this kind of content, and subscribing. And if you want to report anything that you see, email that to ninjanationreport@gmail.com. And if you want to get on the Discord where we can talk about anything, anything that goes on in the Thunderdome, any kind of new illness or medicine, or you name it, we're going to put that platform to the test. I've got a Discord channel. It'll also be in the description. Now, let's go. History is the best teacher.
I agree.
Imagine you were born in America in 1900. When you're 14, World War I starts and ends on your 18th birthday, with 22 million people killed. World War I was unbelievable. We just watched a documentary on it.
We did. It was brutal.
I just can't. People were so tough back then. I mean, trench foot, and it's like they were in the cold constantly. They lived in these trenches.
Yep.
Massive shelling. People with shell shock. What the people before us went through is just unreal.
It is. So I did, in every event that he's going to talk about, I kind of related it back to what was going on in the United States and how it affected us, and then even kind of sometimes how it affected women just a little bit. And World War I, that's when women were officially attached to the military for the first time in U.S. history, which I thought was kind of cool. And they were long-distance operators with the switchboard, and they were called Hello Girls. And I think France actually was the one that came up and nicknamed them that. And there was 223 women. I thought that was cool. It is. Can you imagine being one of those first women? I mean, that would have been a really neat.
No, I really can't.
I can't imagine going through that war, but as a woman,
it'd be hard for me to think about being a man back then, more or less being a woman.
True, very true.
You know,
when it came to food,
man's gone to war and they've got kids at home. I mean,
I know.
It's just unreal.
It is. Well, both sides faced a lot. When it came to the food, of course, they were conserving the food, but they had meatless Mondays, wheatless Wednesdays, and then they had all these pamphlets called Sweets Without Sugar, and they had I forgot there was one they said how to, I guess, cook with potatoes. I guess they were trying to get more people to consume potatoes, and that's when the United States Food Administration was formed, and they even would put on canning demonstrations because I guess people didn't know how to can, especially that lived in the cities.
There's a lot of people now that don't know how to can. And sugar, you mentioned sugar. They mentioned sugar a lot.
Oh, yeah, sugar.
It must have been a really high priority.
They rationed it a lot.
And, you know, your body craves sugar, and it's, you know, people have always really gotten after it. Now we know we should have been eating, you know, complex carbs. I wonder how many people chose, you know, the oatmeal or, you know, that kind of stuff over sugar. They would have been better off, but, you know, who knows. So, later in the year, a Spanish flu epidemic hits the planet and runs until you're 20.
So you're only 20 at this point. You've been through a war, and now you got the flu.
50 million people die from it. Now, I do believe that's the high mark. You know,
I looked that up, and they said there's no way to know because people did not keep medical records back then. So that is a rough estimate. Yeah. They said it could even been higher.
But that was in 2 years.
Yes.
In 2 years, up to 50 million people died. That's nuts. Now, you're at the ripe old age of 29, and the Great Depression begins. Now, there's a lot of people that had kids in the Great Depression. And
yeah, hold on a second. I want to talk about the Spanish flu just a second.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So it was 675,000 Americans were passed away. An interesting fact, they said it hit the U.S. soldiers bad. More of them died in the Spanish flu than that died in World War I.
Yeah.
That were in combat. Yeah, so that was they were ordered to wear masks. Does that sound interesting? Schools, theaters, and businesses shut down.
Weird looking mask they wear.
It was weird. I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first wave kind of hit in spring, but then I guess in fall the second wave hit and the fall, and that was the most deadly, and people I guess were dying in hours. And interestingly, New York was once again in the news. They were the ones that were trying to do businesses, shut them down here, juggle and shut them down there, and I guess it wasn't working. And anyway,
Well, and oddly enough, the Spanish flu killed the healthy, the
did.
younger people, 20 to 40 years old. You know, so let's keep going.
Yep.
When you're 29, the Great Depression begins. Unemployment hits 25%. Global GDP drops 27%. Mm-hmm. That runs until you're 33. Mm-hmm. Now, there was no welfare, no food stamps, or bailout money.
Yep.
You were mostly on your own. The country nearly collapses along with the world economy.
Yep. I cannot imagine living through the Great Depression. Even just as a woman or a family, and we've talked about this. You've talked about Granddaddy.
My grandfather remembers it well. He doesn't like to talk about it a lot.
Oh, and what were you telling me? What grade he even didn't get to finish? There was a lot of people. It might
have been the third grade. I don't know. But
there was a lot of people that didn't finish school.
He's extremely intelligent and went on to own businesses, and he was an entrepreneur, and I always looked up to him for that. You know, they were just. You know, there's a lot of poor people back then. There's a lot of, there just wasn't any jobs. You know, that was the main thing. That's why when we're getting to this environment now, the unemployment numbers are so important, and they're just so, the jobs we have now are crap jobs. All this stuff that Bonehead Biden talks about is just not real. You know, people are having to have 2 and 3 jobs.
Right.
Instead of one good one. You know, used to a carpenter could raise a family of 4, or the wife stay at home and take care of the kids. It is not like that anymore for the most part. So anyway, jobs is a big, big deal, and I can't imagine living through something like, 25% in unemployment.
Yep.
When you're 39, World War II starts. You aren't even over the hill yet. Mm-hmm. When you're 41, the United States is fully pulled into World War II. Between your 39th and 45th birthday, 75 million perish in the war, and the Holocaust kills 6 million.
Yep. That's another brutal. And you're only at this point? You're only 41. So you're only 41, and you have gone through
45th
all this.
birthday.
45th birthday. So I looked at World War II, kind of how it affected America also. Food. That's when the Emergency Price Control Act started. They limited and they started rationing food. They were discouraging hoarding. They were doing equitable distributions of scarce resources. You were unable to purchase sugar. Here, once again, they started rationing sugar without certain coupons. Vouchers for various food. Then they started signing up with war ration books. And I've actually seen, if you go to museums, you can see this. And if you guys ever get a chance, the Smithsonian in the D.C. area, fabulous information on this stuff. 91% of America signed up for these. So I asked Chris, I'm like, what do you think the other people did then? I guess maybe they were self-sustainable.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a lot, 91%.
I don't know how accurate their numbers were. I don't know if the wealthy just didn't have to have rations. Maybe that's it.
But it created a black market for food, and also they started doing like food stamps or these ration stamps that I guess weren't correct or whatever. The women, 1 out of 4, started working outside the home.
You know what? That sounds about right. About 9% of these. There's some people that came out of the Great Depression smelling like a rose. Mm-hmm. They took advantage of the opportunity, and it's funny. It's only about 9%. It's not very many people that can see things coming and take advantage of it. So that's probably right.
That's what it said. Yeah. Well, 350,000 joined the armed services of the women, and for the very first time, women flew the American aircraft. So I thought that was an interesting stat.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
At 52, the Korean War starts and 5 million perish. Now, that's something I'm not very familiar with, is the Korean War.
I don't know a lot about it. I looked it up, how it affected the United States. Taxes were raised. We fought that war, they said, based on a lot of taxes. So that caused, obviously, the increase in prices. Capital taxation reached 62%, which they said at that point, I guess, has been an all-time high. This is the one I was telling you about. They created a sin and luxury tax.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
When they did it on all furs, jewelry, and they had coin-operated gambling machines. Once again, the U.S., they hurried out to buy tires. That's another thing I kept seeing in everything. They would hurry out to buy tires, sugar once again, And this one was nylon pantyhose. I thought that was interesting. They introduced the price freeze, which caused 11.1% price increase within just like months. And I think for the next couple of years, it continually increased by a couple percent. But
Well, my uncle fought in the Korean War.
I didn't know that.
Uncle Monroe.
Did not know that.
At 64, the Vietnam War begins, and it does not end for many years. 4 million people die in that conflict.
That war, if you guys look in history, that war
your
affected
dad's guy.
America a lot, even socially. But it also affected us financially. We spent $168 billion, raised taxes again. We increased prices again, which caused the oil price hike in 1973, if you guys kind of heard about that. That's when they ended the draft, and they reduced the voting age to 18. And I'm going to tell a personal story on this one. Dang it.
Why are you crying?
Because this affects my dad. Sorry. So my dad missed the draft by like a couple numbers. And where he would have been going was going to be Hamburger Hill. And the guys that he went with obviously did not come back. And it would have been him. And he said the reason he didn't get drafted, he believes, is he was going to a Bible college and a lady wrote a letter asking that he not be drafted. So when he came to see me in D.C., we actually went and saw the wall. And it was really cool. Because, I wouldn't have been here.
Yeah, that's really nutty.
So, anyway.
I didn't know why you were crying there for a minute.
Yeah, I was like, man,
pretty
when
impressive.
we went to the wall, he actually
cool
went
story.
along and touched it and found the guys that he grew up with that didn't make it back. So, all right, to the next one.
All right, Vietnam War finally ends. Think of everyone on the planet born in 1900. How do you survive all that? A kid in 1985 didn't think their 85-year-old grandparent understood how hard school was. Yet those grandparents and now great-grandparents survived through everything listed above. Perspective is an amazing art.
Yep.
Let us try to keep things into perspective. Let us be smart, help each other out, and we will get through all of this.
Together.
In the history of the world, there's never been a storm that lasted. This too shall pass. So as we're looking at AI right in the eyes, they've got this new platform called GPC.
Oh, wow.
That you can talk to. You can ask it to summarize books, and it's not. I was actually going to do a story on it, but it's not operating correctly. There's too many people trying to get on the platform. I mean, I'll make a video about it anyway, but it is really wild how far we're going so fast. I mean, it is really, 90% of the moves in the last 10% of the times, and this electrical robot AI technology stuff has gotten way out of hand.
Yep.
And it's not going to get any better. And you got people like Elon Musk that's saying, hey, it's coming.
Yeah.
I've done my best to slow it down. I've warned people for years, and now we're getting there. And I'm always early. That's the good part. I'm early, so hopefully this will help somebody. Now, speaking of helping somebody, I did want to talk about fasting just a little bit because I got several people are doing it, and they're doing really good. Mm-hmm. And just a few things. I don't want to keep you. But if you get really hungry around 10, 11 o'clock, I usually eat some salt, about a teaspoonful of salt. And I'm not a doctor, don't do what I say. But if you're confused about salt or feel like you can't eat it because of your blood pressure, maybe read up on that. I'm certainly not telling you what to do, but I read a book called The Salt Fix. Mm-hmm. And there was enough information and facts in there that blew my mind how, 50 years ago or 60 years ago, they gave a rat 10 times as much salt as it needed, and it raised its blood pressure. And then they said, humans don't need salt, and that was the end of it. I mean, it's really bad science. There's a lot of bad science going on.
Well, we should mention that we don't cook with salt in our food either. We don't put salt on it pretty much all the time until afterwards.
Yeah, I like the way food tastes, and then I salt it to taste. I don't like cooking with it. You're just eating salty food, in my opinion. So, try that. But water, big deal. Drink water. Just small amounts through the day. Add salt when you get hungry. If you failed today, pick it up again tomorrow. It's not a religion you got to hit every day. It's nothing crazy. I didn't fast today. I woke up, I've been fasting for 3 days in a row. not till lunchtime or 1 or so. And I woke up today and I was hungry and my body hurts because I've been working out. My muscles ache. And when you're fasting and you're not getting enough calories or enough protein, so I kind of jump on and off. So today I'm gonna eat a little bit more. I'm gonna eat a little earlier. I'm still gonna keep my calories within a certain range. If you need to track your calories like I do, I have to. There's an app called LifeSum that I use. It'll really help you. You can scan items and it's like $40 a year. It's really not that expensive, but I have to do it because I'll eat too much. I'm a hungry person. I want to eat all the time.
He does.
So it kind of, reins me in, and I have to kind of go by that. And if you do it for a while, you'll figure it out. You don't have to do it. So that's just real quick some things that I do at the end of the video, and it really wasn't supposed to be in there. But I want to help as many people as I can because it helped me so much. Get in shape helped me a lot.
Well, if you made it to the end of the video, say #fasting.
Yeah, there you go. #fasting.
There you
Guys,
go.
have an awesome, awesome day. We'll see you in the next one. Later.